The story begins inside a space station where a baby named Willow is playing by herself in a small play area. Her father, Monty, is outside the ship, fixing something, but he keeps talking to Willow through the speakers to keep her company. Willow gets upset when the movie she's watching on her screen ends, and she starts crying louder and louder. The sound of her cries fills Monty's spacesuit, distracting him. He accidentally drops his wrench, one of the few tools he has, and watches helplessly as it drifts away into space. Monty is frozen in shock for a moment, staring at the lost wrench, but then he hears Willow babbling again, which pulls him back to reality. Willow can see her father on the screen as he comes back inside the station, removing his spacesuit in the airlock. Inside the station, Monty goes to their garden and gathers some vegetables to make baby food for Willow. He spends the rest of his day caring for her all by himself. At one point, the lights in the hallway suddenly go out, making him nervous, but he's relieved when the power comes back on soon after. As the day continues, Monty keeps talking to Willow while he cleans up around the station. He even starts rambling about how they recycle everything and then tries to teach her the word taboo. He reflects on his life, wondering what his father would think of him now. He notes how Willow, in a way, has broken the natural order of things, as if she's something not meant to exist. When Willow finally falls asleep, Monty gently sings her a lullaby, feeling the rise and fall of her breathing and her tiny heartbeat. Suddenly, the lights in the station turn red, and a loud alarm goes off in the distance. Monty gets up carefully so he doesn't wake Willow and leaves the room. He heads to the control room, where he records a report on the computer. He logs the repairs he made to the station and says that both he and Willow are in good health. The computer responds, granting them clearance to keep their life support running for another 24 hours. With that, the power in the station is restored and the alarm finally stops. Tired but relieved, Monty walks into the morgue and unzips a body bag, revealing a blonde woman inside. He quietly zips it up again and takes the bag off the table. Then he starts moving all the other bodies, dressing each one in spacesuits. One by one, he carries them and sends them out into space. When all the bodies are gone, Monty stares into the empty darkness, trying to let go of the past that brought him to this point. He turns back and sees the last spacesuit in the room. In his mind, he imagines a red-haired woman floating there in the suit, as if inviting him to join her. Monty falls to his knees, crying, struggling to hold back his overwhelming thoughts. After a while, he goes back to the morgue, where the room is now empty, except for the cries of Willow, the baby. He logs the deactivated cryogenic chambers in the control room, then returns to comfort Willow. Completely broken and feeling helpless, Monty begs the baby to stop crying. When she finally calms down, Willow touches a scar on his arm, making him think about the doctor who had once taken care of him. Once Willow is asleep, Monty sits and thinks about their situation. They are alone in space, with no chance of ever going back to Earth. These thoughts make him consider ending both of their lives. He goes to the control room and stares at the computer, which plays a video of a boy on a beach. Monty has seen the same videos of Earth many times, and now they only feel like a cruel reminder. Watching life on Earth feels like a sickness, slowly driving him crazy. Frustrated, he heads to the infirmary and searches the medicine cabinet. Finding an empty bottle, he angrily throws it against the wall. Then he finds another bottle, pours out the pills into his hand, but after a moment, he puts them all back except for one. He decides not to go through with his plan. Ever since the space station left the solar system, Monty hasn't been able to contact Earth, although he still receives the videos. He wonders if they were sent just to make him think he could return, even though deep down he knows that's not possible. When Monty finally sleeps, he dreams of his childhood. He remembers the day he found his dog dead by the river and his friend running away. Not long after, his friend was found dead, with a wound on his head. Back on Earth, a woman interviews a professor who shares his strong disapproval of sending death row inmates into space for experiments. He argues it's cruel, especially because the inmates aren't told that they have no chance of returning to Earth. It also takes years for Earth to receive the reports sent from these space stations, which means there's no communication with the inmates. Meanwhile, on the space station, Monty is happily teaching Willow how to walk. Watching his daughter grow makes him think about the people he used to be with on the station. He remembers Boyza, a red-headed woman, and imagines her life on Earth, hitchhiking with friends on a train. He thinks she was happy, even though she lived a tough, poor life. Before being sent to the space station, he and the others were considered the lowest in society. Most of them were either on death row or serving life sentences. So when they were offered the chance to be part of a science experiment, they agreed. In the third year after leaving Earth, Monty stops Boise from vandalizing the wall, and they get into a fight. It ends with Boyce cutting his arm and in response, Monty punches her. They both end up in the infirmary, where Dr. Dibbs stitches up Monty's arm. Boyce accuses Dr. Dibbs of knowing that they would never return to Earth. Dr. Dibbs responds that their lives have improved on the space station compared to how they were on Earth. Boyce sits with her friend Elektra and angrily tells Dr. Dibbs that their experiments to create a successful birth in space will only lead to their deaths. As part of these experiments, Dr. Dibbs collects samples from the male inmates in exchange for giving them recreational drugs, but Monty doesn't participate. The ship's pilot, Nansen, questions why Dr. Dibbs continues the experiments when every baby born on the station has died from radiation. Nansen asks what Dr. Dibbs plans to do if she ever succeeds, but Dr. Dibbs doesn't answer. Later, Dr. Dibbs goes to the engine room and enters a private space called the box. There, she undresses and uses a device for personal pleasure. Afterward, Monty sees her coming out of the box and questions whether it's appropriate for her to be using it. Dr. Dibbs assures Monty that using the box is fine. She knows the other inmates see her as a witch, but Monty offers her a small compliment to lift her spirits, though he doesn't fully understand why she's still so fixated on the experiment. After she leaves, another inmate, Etter, enters the box for his own pleasure. Monty, however, refuses to use it, choosing abstinence to make himself stronger. In the garden, Monty tends to the plants with his friend, Cherney. The garden reminds Monty of home, and it's one of the few things that brings him peace. Cherney talks about his hope that his son is living a better life on Earth than he is, then asks Monty about his own family. Monty replies that he only ever had a dog. Later, the whole crew gathers by the ship's window, watching as the stars seem to move farther away. Although it feels like they are moving backward, they are actually traveling forward at 99% the speed of light. This strange effect, caused by the warping of space around them, unsettles Monty. One day, Dr. Dibbs discovers that the ship's captain, Chandra, has developed leukemia from the radiation exposure. Monty feels grateful for his strong genes that protect him from the same fate. Apart from the fertility experiments, the crew's mission also involves harvesting energy from a black hole, which could provide an infinite energy source for humanity. As the ship reaches the midpoint of its journey, the crew prepares to slow down. Monty helps strap his crewmates into their seats, and Boyce is particularly protective over Elektra, who is pregnant. A few days after the deceleration, Etter makes an advance on Nansen, but she rejects him. He watches the hallway and sees Dr. Dibbs and Chandra flirting, which excites him, and he touches himself while watching. When Dr. Dibbs turns down Chandra, Etter returns to his room, disappointed. Cherney, tired of the tension among his crewmates, decides to sleep in the garden for some peace. Meanwhile, in another room, Boyce removes supplies she stole from the clinic, while Mink stands guard. Elektra, bitter and mocking, tries to undo Dr. Dibbs' insemination. Weeks later, Elektra dies after giving birth, and her baby soon dies from radiation. The crew gathers as Dr. Dibbs seals Elektra's body in the morgue. Boyce is furious, blaming Dr. Dibbs for Elektra's death. Shortly after, Captain Chandra suffers a stroke just as the ship's alarms blare. Chandra needs to input a critical report to maintain the life support systems, but he's too weak. In desperation, Dr. Dibbs cuts off his finger to access his transceiver, entering the report herself to keep the ship's systems running. Later that day, Monty finds Boyce and Mink in the garden, reminding them it's almost time for lights out. Boyce looks at him with a mix of fondness and teasing, then starts singing to mock him, but her expression turns sad when the song ends. After his stroke, Chandra becomes bedridden. Dr. Dibbs tries to comfort him by massaging his legs to prevent them from weakening, but Chandra no longer wants to live in his deteriorating body. As he wishes, Dr. Dibbs helps him die and stays with him until the end. One night, Etor sneaks into the women's room and starts touching Boyce while she sleeps. She wakes up screaming, and Mink tries to help, but Etor knocks her down. Nansen tries to pull Etor off, but gets beaten too. Boyce and Mink can't escape because they're strapped to their beds. Monty and Cherney hear the noise and rush in to help. Monty keeps hitting Etor until Cherney pulls him back, letting Etor stagger out of the room. But before he can leave, Mink stabs Etor in the face with a piece of broken glass. Afterward, Dr. Dibbs checks on Boyce and confirms she isn't pregnant. Boyce, who is determined never to have children, asks Dr. Dibbs if she really did suffocate her husband and children, which led to her life sentence. Dr. Dibbs admits she tried to end her own life after that tragedy. Due to Etor's attack, Dr. Dibbs increases the inmates' sedatives to keep them calm and make sure they sleep through the night. While everyone is asleep, Dr. Dibbs goes room to room checking on the inmates. When she notices that Nansen is still awake, she urges her to go to sleep. Nansen pretends to sleep, but watches as Dr. Dibbs climbs into Monty's bed. Dr. Dibbs expresses her affection for Monty, noting that he's the only one who doesn't want anything from her. With Monty fully sedated, she takes advantage of him and collects his fluids. Dr. Dibbs then secretly inseminates Boyce while she's unconscious, hoping for a pregnancy. Months later, Boyce gives birth to a baby girl, but she becomes deeply depressed after realizing she was part of Dr. Dibbs's experiment without her consent. Meanwhile, Dr. Dibbs is thrilled to have a healthy baby. Years later, Willow, the baby, has grown into a teenager. One night, Monty wakes up to find her in his bed after she has trouble sleeping. He scolds her, and Willow returns to her own bed. After Willow goes back to her bed, Monty notices bloodstains on his sheets, realizing she's entered womanhood. Willow then admits that she's read his records, which say he killed his childhood friend after his dog died. Monty confirms this, explaining that the girl had been unstable. Years earlier, as the ship neared a black hole, Monty and Cherney helped Nansen prepare the shuttle for a mission. Nansen, though uneasy about the task, had no choice but to do it, since she was the only pilot. While they were away, Boyza went to the airlock carrying a shovel. From the control room, Monty, Cherney, and Dr. Dibbs watched the shuttle depart toward the black hole. But it wasn't Nansen piloting the shuttle, it was Boyza. She had knocked Nansen out with the shovel and taken her place. Boyza smiled as she approached the black hole, but a molecular cloud threw the shuttle off course, pulling it into the center of the black hole. The immense gravitational forces caused the shuttle to stretch and compress, ending Boyza's journey. When Mink found Nansen dead in the engine room, she grabbed the shovel and struck Dr. Dibbs, blaming her for everything that had gone wrong. Monty took the shovel from Mink, but in the struggle, he accidentally hit her, killing her. Although Dr. Dibbs had found some happiness in the birth of the baby, the weight of the situation eventually drove her over the edge. She left the captain's transceiver behind and confessed to Monty that he was the baby's father. Then, without a spacesuit, Dr. Dibbs exited the spaceship, launching herself into the void of space. Monty rushed after her, but was too late to save her. Overwhelmed by the madness of everything that had happened, he hurt himself in frustration. He looked out the window and saw Dr. Dibbs's body drifting into space, her face frozen in a peaceful smile. With only Monty and Cherney left alive, Cherney reflected on how he had once hoped this mission would redeem him in the eyes of his family after his crimes. However, his wife had disagreed, saying she would have preferred to grieve his death on Earth rather than lose him to this unknown fate. Not long after, Cherney died, and Monty buried him in the garden, knowing that's what his friend would have wanted. After burying Cherney, Monty took the baby out of the incubator. At first, he wasn't sure how to feel about her or what to do, but as he saw her healthy and full of potential, he began to care for her deeply. Now in the present, Monty and a teenage Willow work together to fix a leak in their water storage system. After years of orbiting the black hole, the ship has fallen into disrepair, reflecting the difficult and lonely journey they both endured. The system detects another ship nearby, one that looks just like theirs. Monty tries to contact the ship, but no one responds. He tells Willow there might be people on board, but she doesn't understand why he's worried. Monty laughs, then wonders if the people could help them. Willow replies that they don't need help. After connecting their ship to the other one, Monty goes to check it out. From the airlock, he sees dogs on the other side. He opens the door and approaches the dogs while Willow watches from the control room. The other ship is a mess, and the only living things are the dogs. Monty finds some puppies and holds them up for Willow to see on the camera. When he returns to their ship, Willow begs for one of the puppies, but Monty says they can't keep it. He tells her to leave so he can decontaminate. Monty goes to the garden and uses the misting system to clean himself. Afterward, Willow apologizes for insisting on the dog, realizing that all they need is each other. Later, Monty catches Willow praying and asks if she knows anything about gods. She admits she just wanted to see what it feels like to pray. The alarm goes off, reminding Monty to log his report for the day. Outside, the black hole shines with a ring of yellow light. Willow believes this is a sign that they should enter it. With nothing left to lose, they prepare the second shuttle. Willow wants to save the records from the ship. Even though Monty and the others were criminals, she always saw them as her heroes. Monty thinks the black hole's firewall will destroy the ship and everything in it, but Willow believes there is no firewall and they will survive. As they suit up, Willow asks if she looks like her mother. Monty says no, adding that she's unique, like no one else. They launch the shuttle from their ship, and as they drift away, Willow silently says goodbye to the only home she's ever known. The shuttle is filled with yellow light as Monty holds Willow's hand. Whether they pass through the black hole and enter a new life or die, at least they will face it together. And with this, the movie comes to an end. Thanks for tuning in, guys.